Hello and welcome to Rain Francis Art. My name is Rain. Today I'm going to show you how to draw this silhouetted bear under the moonlight with white and black charcoal on black art paper. So let's begin. These are the supplies that you'll need for today's drawing. You're going to need some paper. I've got this black art paper or sketch paper. The brand I have is Arteza. It's a 9 by 12 inch 90-pound art paper. You're going to need some charcoal pencils. I've got my well-used set here. I have some white charcoal, and I've got various black charcoal. I've got HB, 2B, 4B, and 6B. I'm not sure what I'm going to use, but I will definitely leave a supply list in the description below. I've got some blending tools, and again, I don't know which ones I'm going to use. This is kind of crazy. I have a whole Tupperware thing filled with blending tools. This is for my black charcoal, and the nice clean one here is for my white charcoal. I don't like to mix them. I've also got some cotton swabs, just in case I use those. And most importantly, I have my stencil. I drew a bear here based on a photo that I saw on the internet, just the outline of the bear. And I outlined it with a Sharpie. All the large areas I outlined with a Sharpie, and the smaller, more detailed areas I outlined with a small fine liner marker. And I'm going to show you why I did that, because I'm going to show you how to transfer this stencil onto your canvas. I wanted to be able to see on the other side where the lines are, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I also have some masking tape just so I can tape this onto my page so it doesn't move. So I think that's it for now. Let me get ready and we can begin. I'm just going to get a piece of masking tape ready so that it's ready for when we're going to transfer our stencil. Now this is one way of doing the stencil that I'm going to show you. You basically, like I said, outline your stencil if you can with a Sharpie marker, because they're really strong and they'll go through the other side of the page. If you turn it around, you can see that the small details that I did with just this fine liner marker don't show up as well as the outlined Sharpie. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to take my white charcoal pencil and I'm going to apply white charcoal everywhere I see Sharpie. Now, an alternative to that is you could have just put white charcoal on your entire page, but I find that it wastes charcoal when I do that, so I don't like to do that. I like to keep my art supplies as long as possible because they're not cheap. So anywhere I see a Sharpie, like I said, I'm applying white charcoal to the back of the stencil, that is. And I don't know if you can see it, but I can see the outline of the eyes and little bits on the nose, so I'm going to put white charcoal there too. Like I said, this is one way to transfer it, because basically what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around and we're going to take a pencil and just draw over it, and that's going to transfer the stencil onto our canvas. Another way to do it is to get some graphite transfer paper. That I use for more detailed stencils that I create. This is really just an outline, so we can do it this way, no problem. But if you've got a stencil that has a lot of small little details on it, you don't want to be using a big Sharpie to get all those details so you can see through your paper. You could do it this way and apply charcoal everywhere. But if you want an easier way to do it, let me go get that graphite transfer paper. Give me 1 second. It was right on my desk here. This is the white graphite transfer paper. I bought this a long time ago. This is one that I haven't opened yet, but I really do love this for transferring detailed stencils. I also have a black one for when I'm doing black graphite or black charcoal on white or blue or brown art paper. So this really comes in handy. I'm not promoting any kind of company, but that company is the only one where I found this stuff. The white one anyway, it's called Royal Langnickel. All right, so I'm going to continue just applying this white charcoal onto my stencil. Everywhere I see Sharpie right here. If you were doing a black charcoal or graphite drawing on white paper or blue or brown or gray paper, you could take graphite pencil and do the same thing on here, or black charcoal, and transfer it that way. Okay, I just want to make sure I got everywhere. I think that's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully place my stencil down onto my page where I want it. And I've got my masking tape ready. I'm just taping the top so that it doesn't move. All right, now I'm just going to take a sharp pencil. I've got just this mechanical pencil here. And I'm going to draw over my entire outline. I'm not pressing super hard, but I am pressing hard. And I think it's important that you check to see if things are being transferred. And yes, mine is being transferred, as you can see here. So that's going to work very well. I also don't like to put the charcoal all over the page, because I find when I put my hand down, or if, you know, I've got my fingers here to hold the page down, it's going to make a little bit of a mess, and that can always be fixed. You know, when you're using white charcoal, you can hide things with the application of black charcoal. But I just find that the stencil goes on a little cleaner this way. And this is just an outline anyway, so we're going to be adding and removing. All right, I'm not going to speak right now because I can't multitask when I'm doing detail work. Okay, I think I got everything there. Just going to finish up the outline here. I may have missed a little bit there. Okay, so before you take your stencil off, check to make sure you got everything. And I missed this whole side here, so there we go. Okay, before I take the tape off, I'm just going to make sure I've got everything transferred here. I've got everything on the face. Yeah, I think I'm good. So I'm going to carefully, you can't see it, it's off camera here, but I'm carefully pulling off the masking tape, because I've noticed that this art paper, you see there's some black on the tape. It kind of tears at the tape, so we have to be careful when we're pulling the tape off. Don't use regular Scotch tape. That will not work. That'll rip your paper for sure. In case I didn't mention it before, I will leave a link in the description below where you can download and print a copy of this stencil if you like. That way you have all the tools in front of you. Okay, so now let's start. I'm going to take out some of my charcoal pencils. Actually, I'll take all of them out, just so they're easier to grab. And we're going to start with white. Now, I'm looking at my reference photo here. It's just a photo of a bear that I saw online, and unfortunately I can't show it because of copyrights and things like that, but you can go online and you can find any picture that you want and use it as your reference photo. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bear sitting down like this. You can just look at any reference photo, and if you have a photograph of in this case, a bear that's sitting outside, there are going to be areas on that bear where the fur is a little lighter. So in this case, for example, I have a photo of a bear sitting outside in a field, and the top of his or her head has more highlight in it because the sun or the moon is shining on that area. So if you really study your photo, you're going to notice things like that. You're going to notice that maybe, you know, the inside of the ears are darker than the outside because the inside of the ears are in the shadow. Maybe this front leg here has lighter fur on it because it's in the sun or it's in the moon, but this one here is darker because it's hidden behind this one. So you kind of have to look for those things when you're starting to apply your charcoal and your highlighting and your shadowing. So this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you as I go along how I do it. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is, let me reach back. I have some wax paper here that I keep handy, and I'll show you why. I'm just going to fold it up. A lot of my videos I've been concentrating on painting lately that I forget all the supplies that I use for different mediums or media. I use this wax paper to put my hand on when I'm going over certain areas so that I don't smudge everything. So that's always a good idea. You could use a paper towel too, but I like wax paper because, well, maybe not in this case, but if I had a white piece of paper, I could see through it. Okay, so I'm just going to begin by figuring out where my highlights are going to be. So I'm thinking this bear is sitting in the moonlight, and the tops of his or her ears are going to be showing in the moonlight. Now what I'm doing is I'm applying charcoal very lightly, and I'm turning my pencil once in a while because I don't want it to wear down all on one side. That really makes the tip of your charcoal pencil very weak, and it will break. And the more it breaks, the more you have to sharpen, and the quicker you run through it and you have to buy another one. As you can see, I use mine to the bitter end until they're like, if I can sharpen it, I can use it. That's my motto. All right. So I'm figuring that the ears, the outline of the ears, and the top of the bear's head is in the moonlight. So I'm just doing that. Just a little outline. Ah, look what happened. My tip broke. Don't like that. I wasn't really pressing hard either. Okay, and you know these two little, or these three little lines here, I'm going to apply some charcoal there too. Just a little. And I'm not going to do the entire outline of the bear. Some of it we're going to actually cover with black charcoal, because I want it to just be kind of a silhouette in the moonlight. I don't want every little aspect to show. So let's see. I'm assuming this part here, I'm leaving inside here, you're going to notice some blank areas, and that's okay. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if you have photo editing software such as Photoshop, or you can find these things online for free, you can take a photo, and if there's an option to invert then it's basically going to make it look like a photo negative, and whatever was black will be white, etc. And that might help you to see where your highlights will be. I'll do a video on that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I've already taken a picture of my stencil, so I'm going to write on it, and I'm going to write video inverting photos for highlighting. I'll do a video on that for you guys because it took me a while to learn how to do all these things. You know, I'm a self-taught artist, and I want to share all of the little tips and tricks that I've discovered on my own and from watching other people too. Okay, let's see. This is the front leg here. Just on the front leg here, there's some highlighting. And a little bit around the back knee. There's a little highlighting there. And a little bit on this side of the back paw and the toes here. All right, most of the front paw is going to have highlighting on it. So right now I'm just doing the outline, and I'm turning my pencil once in a while. Just doing the outline for now. And we'll add a little bit here and there. A little bit of fur here and there. All right, a little bit on the paw down here. And not the whole line here, just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going through here. I'm starting about halfway down this line, and I'm going down the entire front paw here because there is highlighting here. You might be hearing some banging in the background. One of my neighbors, well, he's a new neighbor. He just bought the land behind me, and he's building a house. He's been at it for a couple of months now. And it's finally a nice day after we had some rain, so I guess he's up for the weekend to try to get going on his house. It's interesting because he's about 2 acres behind me, but when you're living in a rural area, you can really hear everything. All right, this has a little highlight here. And a little bit on his butt. Okay, we're going to do the face after, if we decide to do the face. Now I'm going to take my 4B pencil, and what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to erase all the lines of the outline that we did not apply white charcoal to, because I want to make sure that I remember that these lines are not going to show. And that's just for me right now, so that I can see what I'm doing fully. And I chose the 4B because it's a dark charcoal. The higher the number, the darker the black. And if you have an HB, that means hard black. The higher the number, I said the darker the black, but the softer the pencil as well, because it's very soft when it gets really dark. So if you have an 8B or a 10B, that's a lot softer than a 2B, and it's a lot darker too. The harder the pencil, HB, 2H, etc., the lighter. It looks almost like a gray. Okay, so what we have right near here is simply an outline. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is called a blending stump. I'm just going to take a blending stump from my white pile, and I'm going to go and blend. Just lightly blend everywhere that I applied that white charcoal. And what I'm doing is I'm applying circles, and I'm really not pressing down too hard. I'm right-handed, so I work left to right, up and down. I don't start from the left and move this way, or else I'll smudge everything. So if you're left-handed, I guess you should start from the left side. And you have to kind of turn your blending stump once in a while too, because if it gets filled with charcoal, then it gets kind of filled. And if you have a paper towel handy, you can wipe it off too. That helps it a little bit. We're just softening it up by blending it right now. And when we go in to add details later, some of this might be gone. I might cover it up with black. I'm going to see how I go, how it looks as I go. I haven't really planned anything. I just wanted to do a little charcoal because I've been focusing on painting so much lately. Now I'm going to be careful not to blend those areas where I applied the 4B, because I'll do that later, but I just, for the visual, I wanted to erase it right away. I don't like getting black charcoal on my white blending tools. Just going to wipe that off as I go to make sure that it still blends well. All of these supplies that I use are really not too expensive. A lot of the times I buy things at the dollar store. Like, dollar store just got in some watercolor paper pads. They're okay for, you know, doing a little practicing, and they also have those acrylic paints that you can pour out of the bottle. I use those a lot in my acrylic painting. I wouldn't use their paintbrushes. I find that paintbrushes need to be good quality, because otherwise they don't apply the paint very well, or there's little pieces of the brush that break off all the time. And I personally wouldn't use their charcoal pencils or their I don't think they have watercolors, but I wouldn't use their charcoal pencils. I would use their graphite pencils though. But these charcoal pencils, this set, it's the company is Derwent. I believe I bought these probably about 4 years ago. I've had to replace, it didn't come with a white charcoal, I don't remember. I don't think it came with the white charcoal, but I had to replace this because these are all Generals now. I bought these Generals brand charcoals. I bought this set of Derwent 4 years ago, and I replaced them with the Generals probably 2 years ago. So for me, these last at least 2 years. But then I do a lot of charcoal drawing. And the art paper, well, this is a 30 pack, so I don't even remember how much it costed. But I go in and out of my moods. Sometimes I feel like doing charcoal, sometimes I feel like doing, you know, graphite, coloring pencils. I have a lot of art supplies, but I don't spend a lot on them. All right, So we just softened up everything that we just applied with white charcoal. Okay, so let me wipe off my blending stump. Now what I'm going to do is a little bit of detail work. I'm going to take my white charcoal pencil again, make sure it's relatively sharp because we're going to try to draw a little bit of fur. I am doing just this. I don't know if you can see well, but I'm just drawing little strokes that could look like fur. Not too high up, but just to make it kind of a little more realistic, even though this is a silhouette, so it's not considered realistic, but I just don't feel like having lines. I want there to be a little bit of texture on this bear. Do you see the difference from there? I'm going to leave these inside lines as is for now, but I'm going to go over the entire area here, just putting in lines, and I'm not blending these, okay? And I'm going to try to make the lines or the little strokes in the direction of where I think the bear's fur would go. Like this would probably go this way as opposed to this one leaning towards, like I'm doing them like this on this side and like this on this side. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not using the proper words, I don't think. I've got my dogs sleeping next to me, and my cat Oscar is on the rocking chair in front of me, and he's snoring a little bit. Whenever I'm in here, they relax, because this is very relaxing to do. All right, so far so good. There was a bear sighting here. I live in rural New Brunswick in Canada, and one of my neighbors called me the other day and said, you know, be careful when you go out walking your dogs, because one of our neighbors saw a bear, probably an adolescent black bear. I live very close to a commercial blueberry field, and I guess the bears come down to eat the blueberries. Normally, though, I don't know about bears in other areas, but in this area, bears don't want to have anything to do with humans, and we know they're there, but we rarely see them. You see their poop, or what they call their scat, right? But it's very rare to see a bear in this area. Once in a while, I guess one of the adolescents gets a little turned around and comes a little too close to the to where the cottages are and everything. But for the most part, they want nothing to do with us. So you have to be cautious, but it's nothing to be, you know, freaked out about and scared of. Okay, so I've got all the hair kind of there, and it made it a little brighter at the same time. Now, upon looking at my reference photo, this whole area of the bear's head is really in the highlights. So I'm going to try to add hair here, and I'm going to keep within these lines here. Take your time doing this, there's no rush. I said, I'm looking at my reference photo, and the highlighted area of the fur comes right down above the eyes. So I'm going to put little strokes in this entire area here. And like I said, I'm trying to go into the direction where I think the fur would go for this bear. And don't forget to turn your pencil once in a while. Kind of becomes an automatic movement. But once you know, when you're starting out, or if you don't use pencils a lot in your art, it's a good reminder to turn your pencil once in a while. So I'll just remind you once in a while so you don't forget. Okay, so that part, we're going to blend all this, so don't worry, it might look silly right now, but we're going to blend it and maybe apply a little more after. Now, the snout here is completely in the highlight, kind of in the middle. I'm just going to, I know that we did some detail stenciling here, but I'm just going to go over that a little bit. I'm just looking at my my bear next to me in the photo, and these two little circles here represented the nostrils, so I'm just gonna go right up. I'm gonna put a line here, you see, and I'm going right up to that line with the highlighting. And maybe I might put a little bit around here and a little bit around here. And I actually don't think I think I'm going to color in the rest with black. I think this is the only highlight I want right here, with some hair coming up here. Just like that. Now, I'm going over this again, and I'm going under this ear a little bit with some hair, but not too much. I'm saying hair, but you know, fur. Now, these folds here, I'm going to add a little bit of highlighting here around the folds, just a little bit. This is okay here. Just maybe a little highlighting here. And on this side too, under the fold here. And down here. I'm just adding highlight on the paws. And a little bit over here. I might cover a lot of this up with black. I'm going to see. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same blending stump and I'm going to go and blend everything. Now when it comes to the fur, I'm blending the fur like this in the direction that I drew the strokes. When it comes to the nose, I can just do little circles, but for the fur, I want to do it in the direction of the strokes. And what's going to happen when I do this is it fills in the black with a little bit of white underneath. And I'm not pressing down hard. I don't want to press down hard because if you press down hard, you could damage your paper and you won't be able to blend anymore or add any more charcoal. I'm going to go over the whole thing right now. If I want to put in some more detail, I can do that. I just really kind of want to soften it up a little bit. I'm still avoiding those areas where I had initially put the black charcoal in, like here and here and here. I'll go and blend those in after. Just want to do kind of a simple little silhouette drawing today. Because I was thinking of bears because my neighbor saw one. Actually, we saw another one last summer, I believe it was. We were coming back from a picnic in the woods and we were driving very, very slowly because it was dusk. And we had already seen a bunch of deer and rabbits on the road and a turtle on the road. So we were going really, really slow because we wanted to be careful. And about 30 feet in front of us, a mama bear and 2 of her cubs came out onto the road and crossed the road right in front of us. Tried to get a picture, but it was just too dark. That's one situation where I would not want to be in with a bear when she has her cubs with her. But I don't blame her. I don't have any human children, but I do have furry children. And if there was ever a threat to my dogs or my cats, I probably wouldn't be too happy either. I would defend them very, very well. And you know, I truly believe that we are the ones who are in their territory. They're not in our territory. They were here first. So we need to respect that as much as we can. Okay, so I've got that highlighted in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 6B, that's a very dark charcoal. Okay, you could use a 4B or a 2B if you want. And I'm going in, and yes, it is black paper, but I always go in with the dark. Because I really want it to, I want there to be a big difference. Now I know we stenciled in the eyes and all this detail, but I'm actually going to go over that with black. I'm not going to put in any eyes or detail like that. Because this bear really is under the moonlight in the shadow. Don't forget to turn your pencil, and mine is tiny, so I don't want it to break. I may have to sharpen it because I'm going to be using a lot of charcoal here. I'm even going to erase the nostrils. Because like I said, I want this to be like in the shadows, you know. Now when it comes to dark charcoal, the softer, I said the higher the number, the softer the charcoal and the darker it is. Well, when a charcoal pencil is soft, it creates a lot of dust. So I'm just going to show you something. I'm going into my little area here, if I can find my, I think this is the one I'm looking for. Yeah. This is actually a dollar store brush. It's a filbert, or it's a flat brush actually. If you want to blend dark charcoal, a really dark soft charcoal, you can see there's a lot of dust here. I don't know if you can see that pile of dust. You can pull that over and put less charcoal on your page. You see what I mean? Because it's going to blend. You don't have to cover your page with dark charcoal that's really soft, because you're just going to create a lot of dust. So you can bring that charcoal down like this. Hope you understood that, what I meant. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. So I'm just going to continue and apply little bits of that charcoal, that 6B charcoal, in different areas around the bear. And I can see through, I don't know if you can, but I can see my my outline there. So I'm just applying more to cover that outline completely. And because I said, you know, you can bring the dust down, I'm not putting black charcoal completely everywhere, just in little bits. Okay, now with white charcoal, these cotton swabs do not work very well, but they work amazingly for black charcoal. And as with the blending stumps, the cotton swabs do get filled with charcoal and they flatten. So you have to be careful to turn those as well so you don't rip your paper. Okay, I'm just going to put this over here, and I'm going to take my paintbrush and just blend. Try not to get too much. I don't mind if a little bit gets into the white, you know, because I can always go back with some white. But I'm just blending it everywhere. I'm pulling that dust everywhere. You can always blow it off your page, but I don't like doing that because I've got the pets nearby and I don't want them to breathe that in. So I'm going to try to just distribute it everywhere. Okay, for now this looks okay. I'm taking my 4B because I took a look at this and I don't think I like it. There's too much white, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to take some of that away. I'm going to erase some of that white. I'm trying to go for a minimalist look here. There's a little too much, I think, too much white here. So I'm just going in with the black randomly. To try to get some of that white off there, because yes, there is white, but I don't want there to be too much. Let's see. Yep, I'm erasing basically a lot of what I put on. Let's see how that looks after I blend it all. Already I like how it much better how it looks up here. Now this I want to keep white for sure, the snout. But I'm thinking there's too much white. I want a thin little highlight there. Same thing here. That one might be a little bit thick. Artistic license. That means I can change anything I want if I don't like it. Yeah, I think this looks a little better. And I'm going to go over most of this here. Seems like I went through all of this for no reason, right? Because I'm erasing most of it. But sometimes you have to see before you know what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to see what it looks like. And then you can figure out, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm thinking, let's see, I'm going to erase a lot of this too. I'm going to erase most of this. Okay. I'm going to erase all that. Yeah, I think my lines here, they're a little thick for what I was really trying to do. But already I think it's looking a little nicer. What do you guys think? Get rid of all that. But this is good, you know, you're learning as you go, right? I learn as I go every time. I'm always learning. Oh, don't forget to turn your pencil once in a while if you've forgotten, okay? Yeah, I'm basically erasing most of what I put on in white. This is probably completely hidden here in the shadow. Maybe just a little over here is showing. But you know, this is the creative process. You start with something, you have a vision of something that you want to do, and then you kind of tweak it as you go, right? I think that looks a lot better, but I want to sort of make it more minimal here. Because what I'm trying to achieve is a bear at night, mostly hidden, but part of him or her in the moonlight. Not too much showing, you know what I mean? Just kind of, what can I take out here? Let's see. Okay, So now that I've erased most of what I've done, why don't I take my cotton swab and just blend a little bit. I really am pressing very lightly because I used the 4B to try to cover up the white. And it's not as dark as my 6B. I may have to go over it with my 6B. I am going to go over this with that paintbrush again, of course. Just wanted to start with the cotton swab. So here I go with my paintbrush, just pulling all that dust all over the bear. To me, this is a lot of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I love creating art, but I love using charcoal. It's one of my favorite mediums. I don't know if I'm supposed to use media or mediums, grammatically speaking. If anyone can correct me, go ahead in the comments. All right, I've kind of swept up a bunch of powder here. I can really hear my my neighbor's pneumatic equipment there. I think it's an air compressor. I'm not sure what it is. Okay. I'm going to show you a way, instead of blowing that off your page, you can kind of put it on your brush and wipe it onto a paper towel. That way you can get rid of most of it without blowing it all over your desk or all over your room. And it takes a little time, but it works. It's like you're sweeping it up. There, I got it all off. All right. I like the way my bear is looking right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stop right now, walk away from it for a moment, and then come back and see if I want to change anything. Okay, well, I'm looking at my bear and I'm really happy with it, but I do want to make the areas darker. So I'm using my 6B, which is the darkest one I have, and I'm going to go in and apply a second layer of charcoal with that really dark 6B everywhere that I have black on the bear, and I'm going to apply it all over. I know it's going to create a lot of dust, but that's okay. I really want the dark areas of the bear to be very dark. And I'm going to add a little bit in here like I did with the 4B as well. And I'm going to really try to remember to turn my pencil because it's tiny and I only probably have a few more sharpens of this pencil before I can't use it anymore. Don't forget to do the nose. The reason I'm putting on the 6B is because when I applied the 4B and then I blended it, you can still see some of the white underneath, and I really want it to be stark. You know, I want the difference to be very, very stark. I don't really want to see any white in the areas that I prefer to be black. I may have to sharpen soon. I don't like sharpening the 6Bs because they're so soft. They break a lot. You have to be really careful when you're sharpening your soft charcoal pencils. Yeah, I'm going to have to sharpen it now. I have a wonderful sharpener, but for this one I have to use the manual one because it's too short to fit into the other sharpener. So I'm just going to be real careful, and I'm not going to sharpen it to a point. Oh, darn it. I kind of knew that was going to happen. I can't use this anymore. I'm going to cry. But I do have some more, so I'm going to go and take those out. So I just broke open a new pack of 6Bs, and I wanted to show you this. Let me just move some of my stuff over. Things are getting a little messy here. This is, the brand is Derwent, and it's a manual sharpener like this. It's amazing, and I'm not being paid to promote it, but I will definitely promote it. It's great for charcoal pencils, it's great for coloring pencils, graphite pencils. I just absolutely adore it. I love that sharpener. But you can't fit a pencil in that's really tiny like that, so I had to use the manual one, and that Derwent one has ruined me for sharpeners, as they say. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try not to press too hard because the tip is quite sharp. And I have to turn my pencil. I have to really be diligent about turning my pencil because I don't want this tip to break. I don't want to have to sharpen it too often. These 6B pencils to me are like gold. I don't know if you're able to see a difference. I can really see the difference between the 4B and the 6B. When you see me stopping and going like this, that's just me turning my pencil. Oh, my dog is dreaming. I always wonder what they dream of. So I don't know if you notice this, but right here, see, that looks kind of like there's a little bit of white there. It's very faint, but it's there. And that's where I applied the 4B and blended. So I'm just going to put 6B over that because I really don't want any pale shading like that. This is supposed to be a highlight, silhouette type of drawing, so I want it to be more or less black and white. Not looking for shading or extra highlighting and stuff like that. Not for this one. I have a lot of videos that I do with charcoal, mostly portraits. I went through a stage where I was doing a lot of celebrity portraits, and I love them. I think they're really, really good. Some people don't, but I think they're good. And that's when I would apply different shades of black, gray, and white. But for this, don't need that. All right. So I've got that all done. I'm going to blend with my paintbrush. Very lightly. I'm going top to bottom. Just moving some of that dust away from the nose because I don't want to cover the nose at all. See all that dust that it creates? Can you actually see all that dust? My lights are very, very bright here. It just creates a big, big, big pile of black charcoal dust. And I'm going to use it, and I'll show you how I'm going to use it. Oh, I forgot a spot here. I'll grab that 6B again, just on the outside here. There. Okay, so I've got all of this charcoal dust here. I've brought to the bottom of the bear. And I'm just going to take some and go around the bear with it. And if I was really picky, what I would do is take the 6B and draw all around the bear, but that would create, I would probably use up half of my pencil doing that. I'm just going to be satisfied with what I've done here and just kind of blend all that in down here. A little bit on top, but I don't want to get rid of all those, all that fur up there, because that's really where the moonlight is hitting the bear the most, right on the top of his or her head. Okay, so I'm just going to grab that dirty old paper towel with all my stuff in it, and I'm going to pick up that dust. Let's sweep all that up. Can you even see that? I don't think you can even see that. I'm just below the bear. I've got a whole bunch of dust here. I'm just sweeping it up like I did before. Here, I'll move it up so you can see. There's a little pile of dirt here. I'm just picking it up. Now there isn't too much left on there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video. I'm just going to bring this to the garbage can and I'm going to just give it a good huff and puff to get rid of all that extra dust, because I don't really want to do it here. My dog is sleeping right next to me. Well, I think I'm happy with my bear silhouette. I think I am. I was looking at it and I thought, well, maybe I'll erase this line and maybe there's too much white here and maybe the paws are showing too much, but you know what? I think I'm going to leave it alone, because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to just take my 6B pencil and cover up all the white. Sometimes I just don't know when to stop. So I think I'm pretty happy with this. I hope that you enjoyed this video, my friends, and please leave me a comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. Have you tried this? Do you have any ideas? Do you want me to do any videos that you might enjoy? Let me know in the comments. I love reading them and I love to reply to them. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rain Francis Art. Bye!